TV and film producer. We have Tiara Williams, actress, producer, and our boss. And we have Damon Jamal, a filmmaker. Hello, team. I'm so glad you're here today. We got a lot to talk about because I'm going to be very honest. I'm not a Tubi chick. So I am going to be able to sit back a little bit and hear what your thoughts are on it. But first, I want to pull some stats because Tubi is pretty powerful. So Tubi surpassed 74 million. Million. And it's the number one AVOD player. It's 1.4% of the total TV viewing time and 4 billion streaming hours in the first half of 2023. I did not say since the time that it was put into play. I said in the first half of 2023. So it has over 200,000 movies and TV episodes and nearly 200 Tubi originals and 250 fast channels. Now listen, I that's pretty powerful. And one thing that bothers me about that is because it is owned by Fox, which we all know how Fox is one-sided and they like to kind of take a lot of things. But there was this one creator's interview that I found very interesting, and I thought it would lead us into some wonderful conversation. So let's sit back and see what this podcaster has to say.
Tubi. They're coming for our culture. There's something brewing out there that I'm not sure enough people know about. Tubi, the free on-demand streaming service owned by Rupert Murdoch's Fox, is capturing the hearts, minds, and eyeballs of Black America with micro-budget, independent, oftentimes controversial Black movies. Tubi last reported having over 64 million users, and apparently a disproportionate amount of them are Black because the streaming service is going after Black viewers by increasing the amount of films and TV series it has on the platform in an effort to cater to that audience. I must caveat this with the fact that this is the playbook Fox Corporation knows very well, as they use shows like Martin, Living Single, and then Living Color to build up their network with Black viewership before turning their backs on them once they were mainstream. And while there certainly is great work from Black creators on the platform, most of what goes viral on social media from Tubi are the films that have really bad acting, poor special effects, or just outright bad production. That being said, some Black filmmakers say they are making a living distributing their movies through Tubi. And if that's the case, should we be excited about what Tubi is doing, or should we be concerned?
I think that's a good question to start with. Listen, I want to know who on our panel has watched Tubi or put something on Tubi, and is this a good outlet for you if you've done that? So let's start with Marlo. Marlo, are you a Tubi fan? And I want to ask our audience that. Listen, family, throw them comments in there. We want to hear you too. Go ahead, Marlo.
Fan, I don't know if fan might be too far. But I definitely do get down with a Tubi movie. We have our nights here. Me and my boo, we sit down, we watch 3 or 4 or 5 of them things back to back. We have a few rules. One is that it got to be under 90 minutes. We don't watch anything over 90 minutes on Tubi because you're going to get lost in the sauce. And it has to have a compelling title that grabs our interest. So that's how we decide what we're going to watch. And I do. And there's a lot of L's that we've taken. We've taken a lot of viewing L's on Tubi. But there have been a couple of gems that we found. So I don't knock it, but it's some of the work needs to be reworked. I'll say that.
I think I've only tried to watch at least 2 or 3, and they were so bad that I said never again. And then when I found out who they were owned by, I was like, that's okay. What about you, Lindsay?
I actually never watched Tubi until January of this year, and I only had done that because I was on set and some of my colleagues were like, oh yeah, I have a lot of movies on Tubi. So I watched it in support of them. And I've watched a couple movies since then in support of friends and people I know in the industry. Other than that, yeah, I wasn't a fan because I never really was like a bootleg person. Not that they're bootleg, but more so the type of content that I usually see on Tubi. That really ain't my thing, but I'm sure we'll get more into that.
It kind of feels like that to me too, because sometimes I feel like I'm looking at somebody's back of the head, right? I think that's what really, I mean, the two that I watched turned me off. TR, now listen, I know you are in the industry, so how are you feeling about Tubi? And do you have anything on there?
I do not have anything on Tubi. I know I've talked about putting things on there that I've created. Now that they're done, I'm like, is this a good distribution channel for me? And then I get on there and I see all the things that are on there. But in Tubi's defense, Fox owns content, so they put other content on there, so you can watch things that you grew up watching, or things that are actually great to watch, that are household movies and television shows on there. But then they have this like underbelly of I'm gonna just call it an underbelly of black films that my daughter and I try, but we just can never make it past the first 5 minutes. We just can't do it. When we find a movie, it's just like we can't do it. We can't do it.
And you're in the field. So, and so are you, Lindsay. You have a film out right now. But I definitely want to ask you, our filmmaker, Jamal, what about you? Do you have anything? What do you think about Tubi?
I think Tubi's pretty cool. I mean, I think like a lot of other streaming services, there are good and bad. I mean, they have films, and you could go on there and watch Mission Impossible or Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, or you could watch, some movie you never heard of with some actors that aren't necessarily even actors. I mean, it's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of titles on Tubi. So, you kind of got to know what you're looking for. If you just watch something random, then just like anything in life, you're going to get a random result.
Okay, well, Damon, I called your last name first. I want to clarify your name is not Jamal, it's Damon. Do you have more than one thing on there?
Yeah, I got a few. I think I have three movies on Tubi. I have one that I produced, and then two that I directed. Um, and I mean, I think a lot of times people put the title, like they'll say it's a quote unquote Tubi movie, and we know what that means. Basically, what we're saying is a low budget black movie. That's essentially what people are trying to say. But I mean, I don't think that's not necessarily true. I mean, it's for sure. Well, I won't say. In my case, my movies are quality movies. So I mean, they're not big budget movies, but they're not. I wouldn't consider them a quote unquote Tubi movie. I mean, they are also on Amazon. They're on Apple TV. They're on on YouTube where you can buy or rent them. So Tubi, there's a pyramid, like Tubi is AVOD, but you start with TVOD. You start with transactional video on demand, where you make people pay for your movie, and then after a few months, when people stop paying for it, then you put it on Tubi because it's free, for the consumer, and it's another way for filmmakers to get money, and it's great for the consumer because they don't have to pay anything. They just have to watch a little 15-second ads or whatever, and they can watch your movie for free. So it's kind of
Well,
a
thank you
win-win.
for distinguishing that, because when we throw out these acronyms, a lot of times we don't know exactly what they mean. I literally just learned something.
Yeah, so I mean, Tubi is AVOD, which is advertiser video on demand, and then other services like Apple TV, or certain parts of Amazon. Well, really, Amazon nowadays is considered TVOD, transactional. You have to pay. You pay it. There's a transaction. So I mean, obviously, there are some movies on Amazon that are free, but there's a AVOD and a TVOD. That's a whole nother thing. There's
Whole
the
different
multiple
thing.
sections of Amazon. But yeah, essentially, when you release a film, you want to go through the structure. You want to start at the top and make people pay for it, and then when that's over with, there's another way
Yeah,
to get
because we
money.
don't want to do this for free. We gotta get some energy out in the form of dough than not having none. I mean, that's of course that's all of our hopes, and I think that's a great way to get started. But listen, Big Mac said, I've never watched Tubi, but hey, if it gives you an audience and good entertainment, go for it. Which taps into something that you said, Tiara. You said they grab their audience a lot of the times with older shows that we have, that we miss, that we may not be able to get. Do you think this is how they grab us in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, but I like to think that there is something about getting Black creatives. This is allowing them to have this platform works for them. Those older movies, a lot of people have already seen those things. And I'm not saying like it's not good to go back and watch a good classic like Ace Ventura or something like that, but they needed to bring something new to the platform if they were going to have it. And I think if I know the way I think I know, I believe that like having Black creators is always the answer. It always has been. When we talk about the 90s when they really didn't know, they had these up and coming, the WB had, which was CW, and then it became UPN. They had these, they didn't know what to do with those platforms, and so they allowed Black creators to come in and create all of these shows and greenlit all these amazing things that we've come to now love. And then once they were commercial and actually solidified themselves on the in the business, then they replaced those shows with like Seventh Heaven and Charmed, and y'all remember that, like that whole stream of. And so I don't know if Tubi will necessarily do this. I think they found their niche, like, oh, we just gonna work with Black creatives. I would love to hear from Damon, because I don't know, I don't have any movies on there, if financially it works for Black creatives. I see some creatives, I have some friends who are like, they now just create content for you, for Tubi, full time, and financially it works for them because the Tubi checks are big. I've heard that, but then I've heard other people say they're receiving absolutely nothing. And so it just, I think that's probably 90. I'm just gonna guess that's the lion's share, like people not receiving payment from their work. So I would love to even hear from Damon. I don't know if I answered your question, but it just had me thinking about, like,
And I think
you
that's a
know,
really great question. Now, we're going
yeah.
to take just a short break. And Damon, when we come back, I would really love to hear your thoughts on that question from Tiara, because, we do have to have a creative outlet. And I think that's really important for us. But do we control that narrative? We'll be right back.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens. That's Queens. That's Queens to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes? If you want.
Yes. Go ahead and do it right now. You had all the time in the world to do it, but you still got plenty of time to do it now. So do that. Do that. Text the word Queens to 87948. Damon, Tiara brought up some really good points. And so, is this a great way for Black creators to monetize on this program and get their foot in the ring?
Yeah, absolutely. I know a few filmmakers that have stuff. Well, yeah, I know a few people that have it, and they're all pretty happy. I first learned about how lucrative it was a couple years ago, and then that's when I produced a film, and helped them get it distributed and helped them get it on Tubi, and that's when I started actually seeing in person, like first person, like, oh wow, okay, they weren't lying. Definitely, yeah. I mean, Tubi pays you every 30 days, and it is lucrative. I mean, it's the most lucrative for me ever. I mean, I've had movies, like I said, Amazon, Apple TV, YouTube, and it doesn't even compare. I mean, it's probably like at least 10 times more you get paid on Tubi than everything else.
Wow.
It doesn't even, it's not even close. You know what I mean?
That's
So
shocking.
yeah,
Wow.
so it's
I had
it's definite it's definitely, I think Tubi is great. I know a lot of people, poo-poo on it, and we talked about that earlier. But I mean, I think that it's for Black filmmaker, for any filmmaker. It doesn't matter whether you're Black, brown, white, whatever. It's independent filmmakers. Like, it's a place where you can get your movies up and you can get people immediately watching. I mean, there's no barriers of entry. You don't need to account, you can just tell somebody, hey, watch my movie on Tubi. They can immediately click on the link. They don't have to sign up or anything if they don't want to. They can just start watching. So I think that's great. I mean, oftentimes, even if a movie only costs $3 or $4, that's a barrier. Even if it's $1, people aren't going to pay it, especially if they're not familiar with the, with the title, with the artwork, or with any of the people that are in it. So to be able to, have a platform that's available to 74 million people are watching, and you can, obviously it's international, and it's just simple. You just paste a link, you can watch it. Tubi app is available on every single platform, from PlayStation to iPhones to Androids to whatever. So no, it's very lucrative, and yeah, I've gone through traditional distributors in the past. My first film came out in 2012, which my first film came out in 2012 called Rolling, and that debuted on Netflix, actually. And the money that I've gotten in the last couple of years off films that are on Tubi, far surpasses anything that I ever did ever before.
Wow. So let's look a little bit, let's talk a little bit about the history of Black filmmaking. Now, we've gone through so much with Black filmmaking. I just came across this wonderful article from the Library of Congress, and I posted it on my page. It was one of the first Black films that was made, because at the time, this was like 1912, 1920, when they were making films, they called them raised films. So this is where we began. It was a silent film movie, but it was one of the most beautiful clips that I've ever seen. Then we moved on. They keep us as maids. They keep us as in second place positions, because we can't be the hero. However, in the 70s, it really started to pick up with the directors like Melvin Van Peebles, Gordon Parks, Spike Lee started a lot of things. So all of these things. Now, all of the 70s, what we called Blaxploitation, they were really putting their own money and their own funds and everything that they had into these films. So do you think, now, because what you just told me was completely shocking. So you're obviously feeling like Tubi is delivering on their promise to Black filmmakers or filmmakers in general, or do you think there's something missing? And I'm going to ask you that, Lindsay, because I know you have one out and you said it's not on Tubi, but do you think Tubi would get you out there a little bit more because of the filmmaking and what could be brought back? Because you're doing a tour. I'm watching you. I'm stalking you.
Thank you. And so that has been my issue with Tubi. Like, I'm just now starting to realize that there are other things on Tubi versus what I've seen and what I'm advertised about. And that's where it comes in, where like, I don't want to see all the ass clapping and booty shaking and the stereotypical like hood, I guess, roles. Like, that's not interesting to me. And so that's really why I never really wanted to watch Tubi, because like, really, do we need another unnecessary sex scene? Do we got to be cussing every other sentence? And so that's what turned me off to Tubi. However, like I said, now I'm seeing that there are other things on there, like with my current movie that just premiered. It has none of that, and I love it. And it has great acting, great writing, and it was made by a Black writer and Black director. And so now that I know, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it should go on Tubi and give some people something different than the usual, because listen, I don't want to see a booty cheeks. And that's my only issue, because seeing, like, unfortunately, a lot of filmmakers are like, why do you have to have that? I'm not doing that.
In defense of Tubi, I will say that there's a wide array of Black films, right? I've seen horror films, I've seen psychological thrillers, I watch these films, y'all, really to support Black filmmakers, right? Because my first film that was distributed to a platform and lives on Amazon, there weren't these multiple funnels to get your work out, right? It was really exclusive. It was really these one-sided deals that were really heavy toward the distributor, and the creator got nothing. And so in talking to people who are creatives who do have work on Tubi, I just want to support them. But I also think that there is a wide array. There's not a whole lot of daylight between the independent filmmaker that's doing the drug dealer gone wrong story and what we are praising 50 Cent for doing in saga after saga after saga of power, right? All the power sagas could live on Tubi next to Plug Love, and you wouldn't know a difference. You wouldn't, I promise you, because I've seen Plug Love. So You would not know. You wouldn't
I
know
love it. I love it.
except for the quality, right? I think that that's the biggest issue, is that people who are more trained, people who are more seasoned filmmakers, they know how to make a quality film. They know what quality acting is. They know what a good shot is, right? Right, Damon? Like, they know how to frame a shot well so that it makes sense. And I think that Tubi provides people an opportunity to, I guess, get better, right? Because you just kind of got to go there. I don't know if it's like Amazon, but I just went through the process, got it captioned, did all the steps they told me to take, and then bada boom, bada bang, Jeff Bezos was getting 70% of the money from my streams. So,
Oh my God.
so
but that, go ahead. I was
question.
go
You
ahead.
know, real quick, I was just gonna say, like, I hear you all, like, I hear you, Damon, but it makes me wonder, if you are being paid, right? If you are receiving money and it's looking lucrative and it's looking good, it's like, how much is Tubi making off of your films, off of our films as a collective, you know? And with a little, I don't know, I feel like we are seeing pennies compared to what they are making from, ad shares and, ad space and all of that. So I guess, like, I understand, but I also would love to see, I know that Bob Johnson, right, tried to create a version of like Tubi or Netflix, and I don't think it went as far as, because obviously, like, we just as Black people don't have the kind of dollars that maybe like a Fox has. They just have long money. Their company has been in, the studios have been in business for 100 years compared to, and so I just wonder if there's a way for us to really be able to not have to go through a white owned company to receive our funding, to receive money.
Well,
well, on
Dr.
the first
Vibe has also asked that question too. It says that, Dr. Vibe said, what's stopping us from building our own platforms? Which I think is
It's
a
hard.
very valid question.
It's
Marlo,
hard.
you got something?
I
It's
think
hard to do.
it's hard to do, right? You have to have server space to support these films and the space that they take up. You have to have the expectation that the viewer has, is that the stream is not going to be constantly interrupted because you got a janky transmission, right? So there is a lot of cost on the front end that
Yes.
it's cost prohibitive unless you can assemble a team of people who can put this together. I know somebody who was doing a streaming platform for Black people. I can't even remember. I'm so sorry. I can't remember the name of her platform, but it was a woman. But the content that was there was not great quality. The image quality wasn't great quality, right? You go to Tubi, those images pop. That Thug Love poster, like all of that stuff, it just pops out at you. You don't know which booty cheeks you want to click on, right? Because they all there in 4K for you. So I think that having a quality user experience is very, very costly. And so if you get in the game in 2024 as a Black platform, first of all, y'all know we judge ourselves very harshly. We judge everybody else can do things, but we got to do it to the T right out the gate, right? So there's that part of it. And there's also the technology aspect. And the reality is we aren't really in these tech spaces in Silicon Valley to a point where if we created something like this, we would have access to the funding that could get it off the ground. So there's a lot of things. Hopefully somebody's working on something, but they're just the front end cost of creating a platform that can support independent filmmakers to just put their work out there, right? And to replicate the cost model and getting the ad dollars. Tubi can pay, as we hear Damon saying, better because they have these ads, but they have the same ads that are on Hulu. They have the same ads that are on Amazon, right? So you need the structure, and I don't know that structure is already in place by a Black founder.
I have an
So
answer to that,
basically,
actually.
I need a dollar. I need a dollar, because that's holding us back, I think. Damon, you had something to say as well.
Yeah, I actually work with a Black streaming company called Vyre, VYRE. It's an app that's, just like Tubi. It's available everywhere. They've been around since, I think, maybe 2017, 2018. They went public a couple years ago. And I actually, matter of fact, just started doing a live stream TV show there. They have a studio in downtown LA, but it's a Black owned streaming company that's public. So, that's something that people could check out. Obviously it's not on the level of a Fox owned company or whatever, but they're doing very well, and they have a lot of titles and a lot of different types of films and TV shows that you could watch there.
That's the thing. We don't know these resources. So Trisno TV says if we were going to get our own distribution networks, it would have been done. Maybe Blacks fear building their own. We generate too much money not to have our own. With that, I'm going to let y'all think on that because I want to talk about that some more. We'll be right back.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
This is what this channel is all about. So make sure that you go to that website and go ahead and get your free resources because, honey, we all about the money. And that's what we're getting ready to talk about, right? So the comment was maybe Blacks fear building their own. We generate too much money not to have our own. Oh, Tiara, I want to hear your comments on that one. All the things.
I don't think that Black people fear having our own. I just think that, if we're really talking about Black people supporting Black people, we have issues with unity. Like Marlo said, we criticize one another harshly. If we all seen Damon trying to build something, right? Build a streaming service and it had issues and bugs, we would call it ghetto, right? So we just have to, when we're looking at one another, unfortunately it's not Fox though. I remember when I first started producing these web series, and it literally somebody really close to me was like, yeah, I see you doing your little thing, but it doesn't look like NBC. And I just thought fuck you, fuck you, right? Fuck you, and so it is that us getting cameras together and just wanting to tell a story. I think we can all on this panel identify with just wanting to get a story out, get you inspired. So be the representation that matters, right? Show you representation that matters and will matter to you and your children. But unfortunately, I just feel like on other levels, we can't really get on the same page about having a goal without being distracted and understanding the idea of vision and seeing somebody's vision through. I really respect Byron Allen and Tyler Perry and those people that have been able to build studios out. And I wish there was a way for them to create platforms or open it up for Black filmmakers in a way that Tubi has. And I know it's a massive it's a massive undertaking to do something like a Tubi. So I can't say they should be doing it, but it's very difficult to do. And so y'all, what y'all think? What does the other filmmakers on the panel think?
I'd like to know. I want to keep that conversation going because this is a very important part. Lindsay, you really was ready to jump out of your seat with this. So, what is your thoughts on that? Are we afraid, listen? Are we our own crabs in the bucket? Because Tiara, you touched on it. And this is very much true. Anytime we see someone in our community doing well, the first thing that we do is we want to tear them down. Is that part of this fear that you think this comment is about, Lindsay?
See, there's two things that we have to think about at play. So on the one end, many of us don't fear building our own and being successful. And many of us are trying to do that. But we also know that historically, times when we have been successful, they have come and ripped it away from us, stole it, tore it, and burned it down. But many of us are still in that place where we are trying to connect and build community. I just saw it last night. I had all kinds of people coming out to support the premiere, a premiere that was Black led. A lot of Black casts were the leads in it. And so we don't fear success and trying to build our own. Many of us are actively doing that. But on the other end, when it comes to the crab in the barrels bucket, we still have to remember there is a lot of generational trauma subconsciously in our behaviors, because back in the day, there could only be one. And if you were that one, you had to be the best. So everybody was trying to fight to be that one so they could make a little more money or get that position or take care of their family. And we have to remember, we're not that far removed from those days. We still have racism live and well in today's society. We still have a lot of covert discrimination and covert racism and all of the things within the systems that we are a part of. And so we have to just be intentional about breaking free from that mindset and knowing that we got each other. Like we got to really pull together and heal all of those things, because it doesn't just happen overnight. And it's not going to happen if we don't get intentional about changing the narrative. So there's two sides. Many of us are still building, but many of us are still stuck in that generational subconscious trauma.
I think that's very valid points. Now, Damon, I do want to hear from you on this, but what Lindsay said also brought up something else in my mind that I absolutely fell in love with, that Eddie Murphy did that film on Dolomite. And in that story, Dolomite fought hard to get over himself and to get over people telling him that he couldn't. He just walked in there and was like, this is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to do this. And we know that it wasn't that easy, but we also know that he did have to fight through. So and that was a lot of crab in the bucket mentality of people, him telling them no. So I want to hear your thoughts on that and maybe tie into a little bit of how we have to fight for our own to be represented in the proper way.
I mean, I think me personally, I come from the Bay Area, so I have an independent mindset. So I've kind of always believed that if you want to get something done, you got to just do it. You got to write your own projects, you got to produce your own projects, you got to direct your own projects. You got to just do it. I mean, the technology exists for everybody to do it, and there's really no excuses. So, I mean, there's no excuses. You just got to get it done. And even if it's not at the level that, other people are used to or whatever, you're going to elevate. And the more things you do, the better you get. The repetition, makes things, hopefully you should be improving every time. It shouldn't look like it looked 5 years ago and 10 years ago. Like every project you do should get better and better. So, I mean, you can't just wait till it's a perfect situation. You got to just go. So
Well, let's look at
I'm with
Tyler Perry
Dolomite.
about that. Tyler Perry's earlier stuff doesn't look anything like what it does now. He didn't have this $1 trillion studio behind himself. My man was living in his car and was putting up his own money, where sometimes people weren't even showing up to the plays. So I think that's a very important fact that you just brought up. But Dr. Vibe also says he has a great question for the panel. And I'm going to start with you, Marlo. What do you feel are the pluses and the minuses of not creating our own content and putting it out there?
Well, I don't think that there are any pluses in not creating it, right? There's no win in waiting for somebody else to see your vision and help you bring it to the forefront, right? And there's too many places and spaces where once you complete a project, you can put it, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Tubi, Amazon, it's free to upload your content to those spaces. Now, if you're trying to negotiate a higher payout than whatever the base level is, maybe that requires a little bit more action on your part, but there's no reason not to do it, right? The minus of not creating it is what you waiting for. Who is going to give you this golden opportunity, right? It used to be you had a film, you got to send it to somebody, they got to look over it, maybe it'll get stolen from you and they'll go ahead and do it without you. Now you don't even have to play that old Hollywood game, right? If you have the vision, You got a couple pieces of equipment, your homie got a couple pieces of equipment, everybody got some time to spare. And look, if you got a few dollars, you can buy sufficient lunch and feed the people and throw some cameramen some dollars and whatever, you can get a film made, right? I like documentary. That's my thing. I like to sit down with a person, tell me their story, and then convey that story to people. And even in that space, right, it's limitless. So I would say that the pluses are that you can get your work out there. The minus is if you stagnant, you're not growing, you're not moving, you're not doing anything. If you're waiting, nobody's waiting to give you the golden ticket. So it's incumbent for us to go about doing this on our own. Hopefully.
So basically, Willy Wonka golden ticket is not, you got to make your own. And I have to say that I have to agree with that, though, because listen, we do music videos. Okay, music videos for us are mini films. We're telling a story. And because my husband and I wanted to get all that stuff out there so much, we literally learned how to use Filmic Pro. You cannot tell that our music videos were shot by us. So if you really want it, you'll really go and get it. And with that being said, I'm gonna let you think on that, because if you really want it, you're going to go and get it. Stay tuned.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and review so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
She never says enough, because you got to do all the things, because we give you homework. So make sure that you do all of the things. And if you want to come on and be a guest, we'd love to have you. We're proving it right now. We've got a king here who knows about filmmaking, right? So come on in here and talk to us, because we got a lot of things to say. Now I'm going to go back to the video that we started with at the top of the hour, and let's look at the next thing that they get into, and let's get into the conversation.
There are also Black creators that are getting their work out. There are also actors who are getting a chance to act. And while it might not be to the standard that we're used to, and I'm sure if they had millions and if they had the budget, they would do it, but they're trying to create content that is centered around Black people. And there are some Black people that enjoy it. And I understand you saying that when you're used to watching something, you just don't know there is better, so you assume that's it. And yes, Fox is demonic in a lot of ways, and yes, there's agendas, but ultimately there is Black content being put out for Black people by Black people.
I love that. But I also want to tie into something, because this conversation brings up another important topic. Let's face it. Y'all remember we had Living Single, right? Well, I know I'm not the only one who came up during that time and did not watch all the episodes of Living Single. Now, change it over to Friends. The exact same content, show blown out of the water. One of the most popular shows from this day. Warner Brothers even has a whole set built around it where you can go and sit on their couch and be a part of the Friends Cafe. So my next question, Damon, I'm going to start with this question on you. What can Black creators do to protect themselves in today's landscape? And how can they support each other for fair practices in the industry? Like, we're putting ourselves out there. Who's to say somebody else won't go, we can change it up just enough and say that it's ours?
I mean, I don't, you can't have that fear, you can't have that fear. You gotta do what whatever you're motivated, whatever you're passionate about, you have to create it. And I mean, if somebody makes a white version of your show, then you should feel you should feel great about that. That means, they loved your idea enough to copy it, so
But what about
Yeah,
that
I don't.
money, Damon? I mean, is that truly fair? Would you go after, let's put it in your shoes. If someone went after one of your films, and I mean they copied it, and you know that that was yours, yes, you're honored for that. But what about your pockets, bro? Your pockets.
Well, yeah, I mean that would be terrible, but I don't think Friends copied Living Single like that. I mean, it's a show about friends, and they're both a show about friends, but they're not the same show. You know what I mean? I mean, Seinfeld is not the same show as Living Single. That's a show about friends too. So, I don't
I
agree
kind of
with
differ
that
with you on that one
comparison.
because some of the scripts are the same.
I I haven't compared the scripts, but definitely watched both shows, and they have a similar vibe. But I mean, Living Single was a show for Black people, it discussed Black issues, and I mean that's one of our number one that's one of our top 10 sitcoms, Black sitcoms of all time. Friends was cool, but it wasn't, it was just a comedy. They didn't go into any real issues. It was just jokes. I mean, it didn't have any, it had an impact on TV culture, but it didn't have an impact on real culture. Like Living
Gotcha.
Single had an impact on Black culture, like Martin did, and other shows like that. So
Gotcha.
that's my opinion.
Tiara, what are your thoughts on this? Because I know you're dealing with film.
Ooh, there's some feedback. Let me so I really just want to just kind of put things in perspective in terms of filmmaking and why we have a film industry and why this all of this exists, right? And so why we have Hollywood. I read a book called An Empire of Their Own, and it talks about like all the Jews kind of building Hollywood and why they did it. At the time, Jewish people were coming to America and there was a war and all the things, and they were looked at as a certain way. I mean, Jews were looked at like Black people, very similarly. Like people hated Jewish people. And so what Jews did were the big Jewish five, the WBs, the parent, the owners of those, they wanted to change the image of the Jewish community. So they created they kind of like they spoke into they put it into it, they manifested, right? They faked it until they made it. They created these images of Jewish doctors, Jewish lawyers, Jewish everything, right? Like everything. And at first people used to be like, that's not Jewish people are trash or whatever. And what ended up happening was that was the purpose, like to make Jewish, to change the image of Jewish people. So 100 years later, you can't think of Jewish people without thinking of success, without thinking, you don't associate them with poor. And so when I think of An Empire of Their Own, the book, and I think about building Black Hollywood and the importance of like why we have why representation matters and why we should take kind of like this torch and pass it in a way that's like honorable for Black people. I just think about it like that. Like I think about it like the long game. Like filmmakers have an opportunity to really change the perspective with their films on who Black people are and what we really contribute. I mean, we get to see every flavor of person under the sun, right? We can see them in suits, we can see them in trailer parks, we can see through shows, right? And so you get to see that. Unfortunately, when it's a lot of pressure, but when we look at a lot of Black films, or when we look at films and they are like Lindsay said, like you see booty shaking and it's all about like drug dealers and and all the things, like it's I just think it's important to be mindful when you, like Damon said earlier, you have to create the content. You have to create the content because representation matters. And even if you start small, that's okay, because 100 years ago, Jewish people were just like they started making silent films, and it just, and then it evolved. It's going to evolve into something. So I encourage the filmmakers out there that want to make content to just make it. At this point, Damon tells me all the time that you can pick up your iPhone and make up, just remind me that I don't need all the elaborate equipment. I can just pick up my iPhone 15 that I have and make something. And so, and so I have to be mindful of that. I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned why Jewish people made movies and why it's so important for us to make content, because it's really going to shape the future. Uh-oh, Lala. Uh-oh. Lala, you are muted.
I was saying I have iPhone 11 and done 70 daggone, videos. That shows you just how powerful we are. When we tell you guys to do all the things on this phone, you can do all the things on this phone. You can do music, you can do film, you can do digital products, you can do anything that you want on this phone. So if you are sitting back wondering why on earth you're not making any money, sometimes you're holding your own self back. And you need to pick up that phone and see what all you can do with it. Now, Lindsay, you have a film out. You're not on Tubi. So this question is for you, because I know you're going down a different route, but I love what you guys are doing because you're actually going to the premieres, which, by the way, you did go to my hometown. Yep. So what other platforms can Black creators use for distribution, and how did you all do it? And how do they stack up against Tubi?
So those stats I don't know, but I will say use everything you have. That's like a lesson that I keep subtly hearing, and I just want to make sure I directly point out, use what you have, where you're at, because that's what happens. We get so caught up in, I got to get all my ducks in a row. I got to have this, and this, and then I can start, not realizing that the successful people started with just this. They didn't have all these things. They only had themselves and a vision and a goal. And they said, I'm going to start right now with what I have. And because they started with what they have, they were able to improve and get a little bit better. Like Damon said, they're better than they were 5 years. If it still looks the same, then are you really working
what
it?
you doing?
But you got to take the action. Like, you can't improve up on nothing. You got to take that first step. And as you take the first step, you'll learn what you can do better, what worked, what didn't work. And usually the solutions to the next level will be revealed after you take the step to the first level. And that's how it works. You start to build the connections and the relationships. So you have to start with what you have and where you're at if you really want to make your dreams into a reality. So I was happy. Right now, the premieres, we're doing the road show like in the old time 1950s. We're taking the premiere to different cities and allowing people to show up and dress up. It's a whole event at the movie theaters. But after that, I don't know what platform it will be on. Hopefully all of them. But again, he had to start somewhere, which is what I'm saying. You have to start somewhere and use what you have. So if you can get on Tubi, do it. If not, there's TikTok, there's YouTube, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Vire that we just learned about. Was that right? Fire? Yeah. So just Google it. What are all the platforms where I can post my content and put it up there?
And it's interesting because actually I know of several different things that were on TikTok that have now been turned into, people's stories have been turned into movies. But Damon, you are the expert on this, in the fact that, you're out here, you have several things on Tubi. So, but what other platforms, because you did tap into a couple of the ones that I had never heard about. So what other platforms can Black creators use for distribution?
Yeah, like I said, so Vire, that's correct, VYRE. They're a great resource. But I mean, you can upload to YouTube, right? You can upload to YouTube right now for free. You just make a free account if you have a Gmail, and it's all good. What I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about money that I forgot about is I tried a bunch of different things before I've been doing this for a while, so I had to trial and error. But like on YouTube, I've gotten checks from Google for stuff that's on YouTube, and the pay is probably like, for every view that you get on YouTube, it's like literally, I don't know, like 1/8 of a cent or something like that. I don't know the exact, but it's around there. You know what I mean? So if you get, a couple million views, like it's, a couple $1,000. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to work, right? You're not going to, how often are you going to, you're not going to be able to sustain a lifestyle in California with that. So, that's where things like Tubi come into play, where you can, like I said, 10, 20 times more. You're not, if you get a million views on Tubi, that's going to be a way more significant amount of money. So, so that's something to keep in mind. But other platforms, like I said, yeah, Vire, Amazon has a thing where you can submit stuff to. I think it's called Amazon Video Direct, where independent people can submit. But it's, once again, the money is not going to be the same. But you can get it on, you can get it out there. There's different, Film Hub is popular with a lot of independent filmmakers. They, you can submit your movie to them, and they'll get you on different platforms, like Tubi and Amazon and iTunes, I think, as well. There's different aggregators out there that you can go through that will get you on the different streaming platforms you want, and you can you got to figure out what works for you. Some take money up front, some take a bigger percentage, blah blah blah. You got to go through that, but yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you gotta just keep creating, and you can't. Don't let anybody stop you. Don't let anybody tell you it's not good enough. You got to keep, you got to keep putting stuff out there. And Tubi is a great platform because it's the biggest, as we just saw. It's number one. You got 70+ million people watching it. So if you can get your stuff on there and you think you have a quality product, you should definitely do that.
Uh-oh.
I keep muting my daggone self. Okay, sorry. Marlo, you said so that means that I'm not sure where that feedback is coming from. You have put it on other platforms. Are you happy with the other platforms for that distribution? Because you said they were taking like 70% immediately.
Oh yeah, I won't. I wish Tubi were around a few years ago when I first started putting that content up, right, and getting those low returns when people were, when I was advertising more heavily and people were watching, right? Because that's another thing that we're talking about is it's not just automatic. It's on Tubi and you're gonna get that check. It is about people clicking. It is about people finding the content, watching the content. So then you as a filmmaker, if you're an independent filmmaker, now you're also a marketer. You're also promoting this film. You're also, if you don't have somebody that can do that work, you're also doing a lot of other leg work to try and get people to do the most valuable thing on the internet, which is to take that click action, y'all. It is the hardest thing in the world to get people to click on a thing in support of your work. It could be your mama, she loves you so much, but she might not click that link, y'all. So it takes a lot of work, everyday leg work, pushing. You probably got to buy some ads and invest in yourself so that you can get that content out in front of people who are outside of your sphere of influence that will regularly see it. So while it is awesome that we can, as Black filmmakers, circumvent the wall of white people telling us, I don't get it. I'm not sure if this is good. Is that funny? Right? We can get past that now with these streaming platforms, but you still got work to do on the back end. You still got a little money to spend on the back end. So it's not a automatic cha-ching. It is a lot of work, but you'll learn, right? So if you are knowledge hungry, being an independent filmmaker is a great way to learn a lot of things.
And I think that goes for absolutely everything, because you know what, you always, when you, one of the first things your mistake is when you're a creator, and I'm speaking for myself now, is you assume that your friends and your family are going to be your first supporters. That is never the case. They want to sit back and see what you're doing, Shaquita. Is it going to be any good? Or they'll be the first one to say, can I get that album? Yeah, it's been pressed up and it's on wax. That will be $12, please. Oh, you just not gonna give it to me for free? So you have to understand that there has to be a push beside yourself, and what can we do as our people to support one another? That's a huge wall for me, y'all. I don't understand why we can't support one another, and especially when it's someone in our family. So what, Pookie has tried 12 different things going on. Maybe Pookie didn't hit the right thing, right? Maybe Pookie gonna hit it on 13. So you've got to make sure that
Lala.
well, baby, I'm speaking on my own family.
And Pookie and
And Junebug.
We got what?
Right, ain't no Jessicas, no Johns, no nothing.
And Junebug. And Junebug. Drawing on personal experience. See, listen, this platform here, our platform, Fly Nubian Money, we go after a certain dynamic, and by our viewership, guys, we have people within our own community supporting us and giving us the comments and loving on us. And so listen, we are a living example for getting your brand in front of millions of people. So you can advertise with us on Fly Nubian Money. We go live 5 days a week, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we reach a lot of different people because we have multiple pages that we go live on. And our audience is completely involved with us. We call them family. They're more than audience. They're our family, right? And they are intelligent and they're excellent listeners. They talk back. So this is your chance. I'm knocking on your door, telling you right now that this is your chance to connect with potential clients who are eager to learn about your business and support our community. So don't miss this opportunity. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. That's info at real, REEL, virtual.net. info@realvirtual.net. And all you have to do is put in the subject line, Fly Nubian Money ad, and we will send you our ad rates. Because what? We're doing what we're talking about. We're supporting other people. We're supporting our community. It ain't always blood, family, and friends. It's who you get into your circles. Now, once again, and I say this all the time.
That was really smooth, Lala.
Yeah.
That was really smooth.
I went
with you there.
Lala, I'm glad you said that because listen, we are here to support the community and bring fresh perspectives and everything. And so there was a comment that I just want to address for a second. Fan of the art said these answers are vague. Are they gatekeeping the platforms? And I was a little offended because clearly you don't watch the show and maybe you didn't mean it that way, but that's how it came across. And that to me is just a mindset that you have to fix. Like everybody's not out to get you. Everybody isn't keeping the information from you. I literally started my comment with, I don't know the answer to that question, but I can tell you what I do know. There's Tubi, there's YouTube, there's Instagram. And then Damon gave us Vire, something I never heard of. We can't share with you what we don't know, but the things that we do know, we are sharing, which is why we're here. So I just had to.
Well, there's no magic pill. There is no magic pill.
Yes.
Nothing. You never know when something is going to grab on. Hollywood produces action movies and stuff, and they put thousands of millions of billions of dollars in. And hey, sometimes that stuff flops and they have to take it completely out of the theater. There is no magic pill. It's up for you to open up your mind to what you want in your world, because I can guarantee you, just because you're thinking about it, somebody else is going to enjoy it. So there isn't a magic pill. We're not gatekeeping, and we don't do that here, but we're here to uplift and support. And we told you this is a platform where you can come on and talk to us as well. Tiara, I know you had a lot to say about that, so I'm going to ask you to give us your final thoughts and tell us where we can find you, because I don't feel like we're gatekeeping.
No, we're definitely not gatekeeping. You know, as a person that lives in Hollywood and that has pitched shows and is constantly trying to get into the rooms that'll green light the big shows and be the actress on the big shows that I write, I see the importance of having a platform like Tubi. But I would being that Tubi, and I'm so glad. This is why I brought Damon on the show, to hear that he's being, and other creatives are being compensated nicely. What I would love in my spirit, just understanding like how Jewish people have built this community, this again, how they built the empire of their own. I really want us to build an empire of our own, because at this point we don't have ownership over those things. Ownership keeps coming back to me. Just being paid off is being, like, I'm going to take something you worked hard for and you sweated over, and take it, and I'm going to give you pennies for it. And because, that's what makes us feel like, okay, this makes me a filmmaker. This makes, I am earning a living as a filmmaker. Maybe it's not exploitative, but it feels like we could do something else. So I would challenge filmmakers to take their content off. This is my dream. Take your content off Tubi and put it on a platform like Vire, right? And help them become the next, to help them become the next Tubi. That's the biggest difference. Like, taking those subscribers and putting them somewhere where it's for us and by us. And so that, in a dream world, that's what I would want. I don't know the owners of Vire. Damon does, but if Damon's there, I trust that they are right. So I would just say, I'm going to look into that, and the content that I have sitting in my drives, I'm going to say, hey, how can I put a deal together? And maybe I won't make as much as I make with Tubi, but I think that is part of the process of building something. I understand vision. I understand building. I know what that looks like. And so that's what I would say. Those are my thoughts. I'm glad that they are not exploiting Black creatives, but they are not giving them nearly as much as they earn. So I think we need to take some of that money back. My name is Tierra Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. I can be reached at MSBLACK Hollywood across all platforms. I also have a company called Real Virtual, where we help entrepreneurs tell their business story. So if you're interested in telling your Hollywood story and making money from it, holler at your girl.
The mute button is my nemesis today. We do have someone who has a question for you, Tiara. The real question is, who's ready to put me in a movie? My talent is somewhere between I got the hookup and who made the potato salad. You ready?
Joe, that ain't nobody but Joe Corley. Listen, Joe, we will see you here on this platform on Friday. We expect you to be on time as a therapist and nothing more.
Don't say we don't talk back to y'all. Don't say we don't talk back.
Just stay in your lane.
Right? Marla, what are your final thoughts, and where can we find you?
So my final thoughts are, if it's in you to be a creative and you have a story to tell, go tell it, right? Go tell it, put it on wherever you want to put it to get it out there, because that's the first step to, fulfilling this fire that burns inside of us creatives. If you want to watch my film, it's on Amazon. It's called From Roots to Roses. Go on over there if y'all want to know something about New Orleans culture, Mardi Gras culture, band culture. If you're a band head, you like halftime shows with bad football games and good music, go on over there and watch From Roots to Roses. But also, to Tierra's point, I would like to say it would be great if we had a space like Vire, right? A space where Black creatives could be treated fairly. Their content could be out. There could be an array, right? There could be power, but there could also be a raisin in the sun and everything in between, that wide spectrum of Blackness, as we will call it. So let's all pray for that. Let's all pray for Brother Joe. Nobody need potato salad, or I got the hookup quality acting, Joe. We not checking for that over here. But somebody in the Tubi world is, so you might get lucky. If you're looking for me, I create content under my name, Marlo Layson. You can find me on Instagram. I am over Marlo. That is my first name backward, forward, and an underscore on the end.
Love it. And yes, go watch her film. Ain't no shame. Because what I say, we support one another. And I'm tell you, I'm a stalker, stalk, all of my queens and my kings. Lindsay, what is your final thought? And where can we find you?
I absolutely echo what the previous ladies have said. Like, we really just have to try and come together like the Jewish community did and build our own, but understanding that it takes work, it takes time. You know, we consistent little daily things, those build up to the big shifts. So we have to intentionally and actively, day by day, do a little bit more and a little bit more. And then next thing we know, wow, we've built this empire, but it doesn't come overnight and it doesn't happen in an instant. So we have to be willing to start where we're at, shift our mindset so that we're open and able to see the creative solutions to our problems, because you can only focus on one thing at a time. You can only focus on what you do have or what you don't have, but you can't focus on both. So focus on what you do have and start with where you're at. I am Lindsay Vertner, mindset expert and speaker, coaching all around the world and speaking all around the world by day, but by night, I'm Lindsay Vertner, the actress. Okay, so you can find me at liveafirstclasslife.com, or I'm at Lindsay Vertner on all the social medias, Lindsay Vertner Talent on Instagram, if you want to follow my acting journey.
Wonderful. And what key point? You can't catch them blessings if your hands is closed. Open your hands, y'all. Open the hands. All right. And I left you for last, Damon, just because you are our expert. And I wanted you to share with us your final thoughts, share the names of your films, and where we can find you and see your films as well. Maybe they're outside of Tubi.
I appreciate that. Well, first, I want to say that I learned something valuable. Tiara, you just taught me about, some filmmaking history with the Jewish people. I did not know that, so that's great. Thank you for that. And I appreciate being on this platform with you guys. Mark, Lindsay, thank you for for being here with me and accepting me in your presence. And Lala, great job on moving things along and moderating the conversation. So thank you for that. As far as my films, you can just type my name, Damon Jamal, and you'll find me. You'll find my films on all the different platforms. My latest film is called Survival. It's a thriller starring Elise Neal. It's fast moving, very intense, and very exciting. So that's my latest film. So go check that out. That's available on all the platforms, Amazon, Tubi, etc. I also have a show. I just started a show about a month ago called Unpopular Opinion, which is on Vire. We shoot every Sunday at 5:00 live. It's a debate show. It's a 30-minute debate show between two people with one person has an unpopular opinion and the other person has the opposite opinion, and they go at it. So it's a very interesting show. And like I said, it's on Vire. So it's on the Vire app, or you could go on our website, unpopularopinion.live, and watch that live every week, or watch previous episodes anytime. So that's really about it. That's all I got. Check me out. I don't know.
Well, you said thriller, baby. You said thriller, and I will be there. True crime and thriller. That's me. Yes, all the way. So listen, guys, I want to kind of tap onto what one of our viewers said, and it's Dr. Vibe. He said, sometimes we need to take the mindset, don't get good, get done. And I didn't learn that until I was much older. Like I'm 54, like 50, where I decided that I was going to get out of my own way, because I can sit back and get in my own head by just, I'm not good enough, or I'll get on and listen to somebody else sing, and I'm, I gotta sing like that. No, I don't sing like that, because I sing like Lala. So you got to get out of your own head, to get out of your own way, to create the path and the life journey that you are here to do. And that is my final message to you. And you can find me and all the things that I do at bit.ly/Laura Key Info. Made it easy for you. One link, all the things. But listen, we want to say thank you so much for joining us today. We do not take it for granted that you come here with us every day. We have regulars here every day. We thank you for your time, because we know that you could be doing something else. And it's really important to us. And we love that you are family and here with us. If you're just joining us today, we got room in this family. There's room in here. So make sure that you subscribe and you do all those things. You text the word Queens to 87949. You go to flynubianmoney.com. You get your money right and your money tight. Want to be on the show, want to contact us, then all you got to do is just email us at info@realvirtual.net. And we thank you for joining us. It's clear that these platforms like Tubi offer opportunities, but we need to maintain and be vigilant about how Black creators and audiences are treated in the long run. Ownership, control, and fair compensation are key to ensuring that our narratives and success are protected. Remember to master your mindset and maximize your money. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Peace out.
Peace out. But is it VYER or